So, as I've been speaking about this and the Pete Hegseth saga continuing, it was really pathetic today to see his mother on Fox News. And by the way, I don't blame his mom. She seems like a nice lady. And as I've said today already, she obviously loves her son. And I don't blame her for now doing cleanup, or as I call it, clean up an aisle woman abuser. That's really what's going on here. But this is Pete Hegseth's mom speaking on Fox News earlier today with Mr. Ducey. And here's what she's had to say about her son, who she once called a woman abuser.
But we are broken by your behavior and your lack of character.
Mm-hmm.
When you wrote that, what's the backstory? What was going on that made you so angry you wanted to write that?
Well, I will tell that story in a moment, but let me make two statements first, and one is to President Trump. And I want to say thank you for your belief in my son. We all believe in him. We really believe that he is not that man he was 7 years ago. I'm not that mother. And I hope people will hear that story today and the truth of that story. So the other thing I want to say is I am here to tell the truth. To tell the truth to the American people and tell the truth to the senators on the Hill, especially our female senators. I really hope that you will not listen to the media and that you will listen to Pete.
First of all, we weren't listening to the media. We were listening to you because we read your email. Now, of course, Ducey won't ask a challenging question. If you're here to tell the truth, ma'am, I would say at one point in his life, did your son abuse women? But of course, they're not going to ask that question. Again, this is clean up an aisle woman abuser. There were two objectives in this interview. One was to kiss Donald Trump's ass, and the second one was to clean up for your son's horrific behavior, allegedly criminal. And if the argument is, well, he's a different guy now than he was 7 years ago. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean you would have put O.J. Simpson in a position in the White House? Does that mean that you would put Bill Cosby in a position in the White House? Does that mean you would put a convicted felon in a position in the White House? Well, it appears as though Donald Trump is doing that anyway. But if the standard is, well, he's a different guy today, he found Jesus. And this idea that we all believe in him, well, I don't believe in him. I would pretty sure that Pete's ex-wives don't believe in him and any other woman that he's treated like crap. So I disagree with that assessment as well. Again, I don't blame his mom. I think it's pathetic on Pete's part that he pushed her to do this. Obviously, I would assume this is not something that she wanted to do. And it's absolutely pathetic. Now, this is a video that has been making the rounds on social media, and we know that Donald Trump saw it. And as soon as this video was put out there, we heard rumblings of Ron DeSantis maybe replacing Pete Hegseth in the running for this position as the defense secretary. This is Pete Hegseth in his own words speaking about Donald Trump.
It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. He talks a tough game, but then when pressed on it, he's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it, but this is a guy who said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments.
At one point, some of these despicable human beings actually tell the truth about Donald Trump. Pete Hegseth was being honest. It's one of the few moments in his TV career where I believe Pete Hegseth was telling the truth. He's right. Donald Trump is all bluster, very low substance. He's an armchair tough guy. He said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments. Pete Hegseth was telling the truth, just like many of these others, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. back in the day, a Ted Cruz, for example. Pretty much any Republican that ran against Donald Trump, Marco Rubio. At one point, they did tell the truth about Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham was another one. But now Lindsey Graham is actually showing that he might have 1% of a moral compass, because he is saying that these reports on Pete Hegseth are alarming. Take a listen to this.
Some of these articles are very disturbing. He, obviously has a chance to defend himself here, but some of this stuff it's going to be difficult. Time will tell. I like Pete. I've known him for a very, very long time.
Yeah, you like Pete. You know how many idiots, Republican morons on social media? I hung out with Pete Hegseth, and I never smelled alcohol on him. There are like dozens on social media. Oh, he did my radio show. He was very nice to me. I never smelled alcohol on him. Oh, I guess that means he can't be an alcoholic. You know what? I'll go back to O.J. Simpson, who's dead, by the way. And I hope he's burning in hell. I'll be clear on that one. I met O.J. Simpson a couple times in Las Vegas. He seemed very nice. He wasn't killing anybody, so I guess he can't be a double murderer. Now, some of you are probably laughing at that, and you should be because it's ridiculous. But that's what these right-wing turds are doing. Oh, well, I've known Pete for a long time. He's my friend. I never smelled alcohol on him. I never saw him abusing a woman. So I guess that must mean it's not true. These people are so stupid. The idea. That's like saying, well, I met Jeffrey Epstein. I was with my daughter, and he treated my daughter with respect. So there's no way Jeffrey Epstein could have ever sexually assaulted an underage girl. That's what they're doing. I never smelled alcohol on him in the few times I was around him, so he can't be an alcoholic. Again, these MAGA Republicans are some of the dumbest people America has to offer. And some of these people that believe this nonsense are dumber. It's like Dumb and Dumber, the MAGA Republicans. Now, there are some Republicans out there that are concerned. There are some that are not. You're going to hear right now from Susan Collins, Mike Rounds, and Kevin Kramer about this guy and what they think.
As I've repeatedly said to you, I believe that we need an FBI background check to evaluate the allegations. We need to have the normal committee process of questionnaires about his background. And we also need to have a public hearing.
I have not met with him yet. I'm looking forward to meeting with him. We'll be asking questions, but look, the president always gets the benefit of the doubt on his nominees.
What's your level of concern about Pete Hegseth right now? These allegations are continuing to come out about his personal conduct. Are you concerned?
Of course, it's concerning, but I look forward to visiting with Pete about it and seeing. I'm interested in who Pete Hegseth is today, and who he is going forward.
There you go. I'm interested on who Pete Hegseth is today. Let's forget about all the rape allegations. Let's forget about the alcoholism and the abuse and the womanizing. Let's forget about the fact that he couldn't even run his own organization, that, he bankrupted his organization. Let's forget about all that stuff. I just care about today. Can you imagine? This is one of the most powerful positions in the country. Can you imagine if you're trying to be like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and you're trying to run a huge business, and the guy says, the people that are considering hiring you said, well, I don't care about your past. Don't even worry about your resume. I just care about the person you are now. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Tommy Tuberville is one of the dumbest people in office today. Tommy Tuberville is such an ignoramus. It's beyond. But listen to his excuse in talking about Pete Hegseth.
Heaven's sakes. The police report is this. It says nothing happened. They didn't bring any charges. Now, let's get to the agenda you just talked about. And Pete put it in his book, War on Warriors.
Exactly. And you can read a lot about that, as you just said, Larry. The thing about Pete is he's well-spoken. It's all out there. People can look at it. But a lot of this stuff was years ago. Now, again, you got to be responsible for your actions. But Pete has done everything he possibly can do to get it out there, to talk to people. Again, when we get to the hearings, probably somewhere around January 9th or 10th, Larry, it's going to be about the military. It's not going to be about his past references. Now, the Democrats are going to do everything they can to destroy probably one of the better people that we've ever had in the sector as a possible appointee as Secretary of Defense. But that's all they have. And they're going to try to destroy him. It's not going to work.
I mean, this guy is such a lot of those things. Let's pretend that Bill Cosby was trying to get a position in the White. Well, Tommy Tuberville. Hi, I'm Tommy Tuberville. A lot of that stuff happened years ago. It was a lot of that stuff was years ago. I care about the person that Bill Cosby is now. He might have raped those women years ago, but all that stuff happened a long time ago. I mean, he might have raped a woman and drugged her up, but you know what? That didn't happen last month. That happened years ago. I mean, that's an allegation from way, way back in the day. I care about Pete Hegseth, the man he is now. I mean, listen. He might have raped a woman. I mean, you get the idea. It's so stupid. Tuberville is such a dummy. So despicable. Why didn't we get these similar situations happening in the Joe Biden administration. Yes, you had a transgender woman who he hired who was arrested for stealing luggage at an airport. Okay, I get it. These allegations are far worse. And by the way, Joe Biden fired that individual thereafter. I know it happened years ago, but Mr. Tuberville, what about the womanizing and all the people that worked with him that claim he's an alcoholic, and his ex-wife who sued him, and then he had a child with a woman he worked with at Fox News while he was married to another woman? Well, that happened years ago. That happened years ago. I think we need to find that clip and play it throughout the week. Tommy Tuberville is such a dumbbell. And then there's Brian Kilmeade, who's a little weasel, on this Republican woman filing a police report accusing Hegseth of sexually assaulting her. Listen to what Brian Kilmeade had to say.
Pam Bondi was up there yesterday, and Pete Hegseth was up there yesterday. I think the volume of some of the personal attacks on some of the nominees is stunning, including our buddy Pete Hegseth, who wrote a book about the Pentagon, served 20 years in the military, has been decorated, chose the infantry after Ivy League education. You've seen what he's able to accomplish for veterans. But does the volume of the attacks surprise you? And does it make the president waver or wonder?
No, there's a reason why President Trump picked Pete Hegseth to lead the DOD. Two-time Bronze Star recipient, someone who served in combat in Iraq and in Afghanistan, as you said, Ivy League pedigree. You want someone there leading the DOD who has served in combat, who knows what it's like to be shot at. Because a big part of the reason why President Trump won, he said he's going to stop these endless wars.
Yeah, nice pivot there. I really like that one. And by the way, that's Jason Miller, the guy who failed to pay his own child support. So, I mean, again. So Jason Miller continues here in downplaying because he was asked about Pete Hegseth's mom calling her son out for using women for his own power. And listen to Jason Miller's excuse for that.
With regard to Pete, family conversations sometimes are very tough. And in the case with his mother did go and take that back and say that she was sorry for that. And I believe that Pete Hegseth is ultimately, when he has a chance to present his case, it's going to come across very clearly that he's going to be a great person to lead the DOD and that he didn't do anything wrong. Now, again, the letter of the New Yorker, or the whatever they called it, the New Yorker with their piece that they ran, that was basically just innuendo and gossip. There wasn't anything.
It was a report from the top of the Concerned Veterans of America, the organization that he led, that he was later shown the door of because of allegations of financial mismanagement, in addition to some of the more personal allegations.
But need to be clear here. Again, when I say it was innuendo and gossip, it was written by a disgruntled former employee. And so again, this was not some legal finding or something in the court of law. This was a former employee who was very much.
It was extensive. It was an extensive actual report.
Yeah, it was an extensive actual report, and that's why he left that position. Was his mother disgruntled too? I'm just curious. And I'm asking all of you, I agree with Jason Miller that sometimes family conversations can be very tough. Have any of you had family conversations with your mother? And your mother accused you of being a woman abuser? I've never had that conversation. You know why? Because I've never abused a woman. That's why. We've all had difficult family conversations. But if we have conversations with our family members and our parents in this aspect that would accuse us of using women for your own power and a woman abuser? No, most of us don't have those conversations because most of us don't abuse women. And that's why I absolutely believe Pete Hegseth has. But Jason Miller is the kind of guy, just like many of these MAGA morons, that will curl up into a pretzel. And listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I know it's graphic, but this is how we have to treat some of these people. If, in fact, Donald Trump was seen on video raping somebody, they would make excuses for it. If Donald Trump was seen on video murdering somebody, they would make excuses for it. If Donald Trump was literally seen on video beating a woman, they would make excuses for him. That's who Jason Miller is, and that's how so many of these people are that work for Donald Trump today. They will curl up into a pretzel and they will make excuses. And it doesn't matter if it's somebody like a Pete Hegseth, it doesn't matter if it's somebody like a Matt Gaetz, it doesn't matter whether it's anybody within the administration who Donald Trump supports, who Donald Trump hired. It doesn't matter. they will make excuses for them because they're dishonest people without a backbone and they have no moral compass. And that basically is going to be Donald Trump's entire administration for the next 4 years. Now, he's going to fire a lot of people. He already has done that, by the way. He already has done that before he's day one as president in his second term, and it is going to continue. So for any of you out there that are continuing to defend Pete Hegseth, continuing to defend Donald Trump, you're defending scum. You're defending the types of people that are the worst kinds of people towards women. And as I said before, I saw in a picture a few weeks ago, it was a picture of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Donald Trump, and Dana White. And they called themselves the party of protecting women. And one person in that picture, habitual cheater whose own ex-wife committed suicide after reading his diary of all the womanizing and the cheating that he did. Another in that picture slapped his wife in public. And, of course, another an adjudicated rapist. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Republican Party today and the party that protects women.